Hello, and welcome to the May edition of the Habitat Home Show with Habitat for Humanity of Greater Dayton. I'll be your host today. My name is David Mauch. I'm the Development Director at Habitat for Humanity. Really excited to have you with us today. We've got an amazing show for you. Today we are spotlighting something that we could not do without, and that is partnership from the community. Really lucky to have with us today Paul Keller. Paul is the mayor of the city of Fairborn, and we at Habitat have been really lucky to have the city of Fairborn as a partner on a number of the projects that we've done, especially in the last few years, but I know for a number of years. And we're going to talk a little bit with Paul about what the partnership means to the city of Fairborn, and then also I'll share some information about why it's important for Habitat to do the work that we do, because we absolutely could not do what we do and serve the families that we serve without great partners like the city of Fairborn involved with us. So welcome, Mayor Keller. Thanks for so much for being a part of the show today.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate you inviting me down here. I'm always happy to see you and your crew show up in the city. That means good things are happening, so thank you.
All right, well, thanks so much. Let's let the viewers maybe know a little bit about you. Maybe tell you a little bit about where you grew up, your upbringing, maybe education. I believe you were in the Air Force for a number of years, and maybe talk a little bit about your family.
Okay. Yes, I grew up in Middle Tennessee, and job opportunities weren't real great. And when I had a chance to join the Air Force to see the world, I took it, and I got to do some traveling and spent some time in the Air Force, retired, and ended up in Fairborn. That was my last duty assignment. Married to Linda, and between us we have 5 kids, 5 grandkids, wow, scattered from Naperville, Illinois, to Sylvania, Ohio, to Springfield, Urbana, Westchester, Ohio, and down to Hendersonville, Tennessee.
Oh, wow. That's quite a road trip if you want to get out and see all the...
We could stay on the road all the time, seeing the kids and grandkids.
So as far as Dayton and the Fairborn area, you mentioned that was your last post as far as being in the Air Force, and
yes, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base.
And you thought, hey, this is the spot. This is where I'd like to stay.
It is. Actually, I've moved back to Fairborn 3 different times, so I figured this must be the place where I'm supposed to be. All
right. Well, that's great. And what brought you then? So you're in Fairborn, you're living there. I assume worked for the Air Force. Did you work for Air Force after you retired from the military? Or is that
No, after I retired, I went to work for a contractor and worked back on the base there. Okay. And stayed in the area. Like I said, been here for several years, and just love the city there. I'm invested in Fairborn. Lynn and I own investment properties in Fairborn, both residential and commercial buildings there. Oh. And got interested in, started volunteering with some of the community projects, got involved with the Downtown Fairborn Betterment Association. Oh, cool. We're trying to revitalize our Main Street there in Fairborn. Mm-hmm. And from that, got interested in politics. I wanted to see if I could make a difference in where Fairborn is going. So
you were on city council for a number of years, I believe, and then decided a few years ago, maybe maybe a year ago or so, to make a run for the mayor's office?
Yes, 4 years ago, last December, I spent on the city council, and then after our previous mayor, Dan Kirkpatrick, he's timed out. We have term limits, so it's not a forever type job. And Dan and I talked, and he encouraged me to run for mayor. I was interested because we have several things going in Fairborn that I was a part of. Being on council, getting a city strategic plan together, pushing hard for economic development, helping look for businesses to come to Fairborn, looking to help the businesses that are in Fairborn, and also the housing situation in Fairborn. So that's my interest there.
Mm-hmm. I know just a few weeks ago, actually, I had the privilege of being a part. You guys did a kind of a housing seminar or workshop on a Saturday morning, and man, it was the Saturday before Easter, And I was, me and our executive director, Norma Izzy, had a chance to come by and spend a little bit of time at that workshop. One thing I got to say is I was incredibly impressed by the number of people that came to that. I didn't know what to expect. I'd never been to anything like that before. And we showed up, and there must have been 30 to 35 people in the room that were there ready to talk about, I think it was focused mostly on housing and how to make, I guess, housing better, or what things you could do to improve housing or opportunities for housing in the city of Fairborn. So it was a real educational workshop for me, and it was really neat to be a part of it. When you think about Fairborn, I know some of it was brought up during that workshop. What are some of the challenges that the city is facing?
Well, that was our retreat we have with the city, and we invited in businesses and local leaders and you folks from Habitat for Humanity, because we consider you a partner in Fairborn as well, especially when we're talking housing. And the housing situation in Fairborn is we have several neighborhoods that are very, very old, getting up there in age. If you're looking for a house in Fairborn with more than one bathroom, it's tough. And so, but just bringing in new housing is not the total solution. Over the last year or so, we've added 81 new houses to Fairborn. Wow. We have the Waterford Landing, the Bluffs at Trebine, Chapel Gate's been built out for a bit, but to add new housing, new housing selections or options for people to stay in Fairborn. And that was one of our goals. And the group that we were looking at is what kind of options can we work? What can we do for existing housing there? Some of the older neighborhoods, how can we help those folks in there? There are programs. The city does a really good job. Missy Frost does a really good job managing some of the grant money that we pick up to do some of the rehabs and help folks that can't afford those types of repairs to help upgrade their housing. But that's some of our challenges there is some of the older neighborhoods. So
when you're thinking about trying to put in some new housing for folks, and you mentioned there's a couple developments that are happening, and I live right near Fairborn. I live in Enon, so I'm in Fairborn all the time. Is the city, I don't know if this is the right term, but landlocked? I mean, is there not a lot of area to build and develop and grow, or?
We're bound on three sides. I-70 to the north of us. The state's largest employer is just west of us, right, Patterson Air Force Base, fenced off there. South of us is Beaver Creek, Riverside. So the only way that we can really go is east, out towards Enon in the county out there. Mm-hmm. We've worked with the cement factory out there to pick up some of their reclaimed land, mm-hmm. and we're looking at maybe some more of that. But that's the only way we can go is east.
Okay. Well, one of the things when I think about Habitat and having worked there for a number of years now is, and I don't know if this is what Fairborn will get into, what maybe you guys think about us or like about us and the factory partner, but sometimes you find these pockets where there's just a lot here, a lot there, and it's empty, and Habitat can come in and build a new house, and maybe another developer or anything wouldn't touch that. They're looking for a bigger opportunity or multiple homes and things of that nature, whereas Habitat, if we can get one lot here and there or a few lots, that's great for us because we can build one house there and serve one family. Is that one of the things you like about partnering with Habitat?
Yes, you help us infill or build. One of the objectives of council and part of our strategic plan was to remove some of the blight in Fairborn, some of the really old houses that when the housing bubble burst and there were some foreclosures and some of the homes were just let run down and people walked away from. So the opportunity with Habitat for Humanity is those empty lots. You guys come in and build a really nice house. It helps bring up the rest of the neighborhood as well. Yeah. You know, you add a nice structure to that. You bring in a very motivated family that's excited to be there. Mm-hmm. You talked about lots here and there. One of the challenges in Fairborn is that several of our lots are smaller than you would see outside. So the houses that you guys build fit just perfectly on those lots.
Terrific. Oh, and you talk about kind of, and we've built, I think it's at least 4, maybe 5 houses we've completed in the last few years. One's set to be dedicated here on May 4th in a couple weeks. We're really excited about that one. I think that's going to be really great. And then we're scheduled to start 2 new builds in Fairborn within the next 30 days. You know, really probably less than that. As soon as we finish the one on Orville Street, we're going to pretty much bounce right into the next 2 that we're going to do. So we've got a really good thing going. But in talking about some of the homes we built previously, I know. Do you know Regina Shear? I know you're probably at her dedication in Lee.
In Lee, yes.
Yeah, so we built a house for them. It's probably been about 3 years now, 2.5, 3 years.
Yes.
And I was talking to Regina not too long ago, and she said, you know, the Habitat house obviously is new, and it's got a nice front porch and some other things. And she'll sit out on her front porch, especially in the spring and summertime when it's nice out. And she said some people across the street from her, they decided they wanted a front porch too. So they built front porches and upgraded, in a sense, upgraded their homes a little bit because they thought Regina's house was so nice. So you talk about maybe we can be a little bit of an inspiration for some of those families that live around the home that we build to say, hey, that house looks nice. We want our house to look, you know, like that house, or look a little nicer. Just kind of, they say, maybe motivate or inspire people to you know, maybe do a little bit to make sure their house is looks good too. And I think that's a win-win for everybody.
That's definitely a win-win. When you can bring in a nice home like that, especially if there was a blighted property there before or abandoned house, and then you build a nice house like you guys build there, then it definitely encourages the neighbors to take notice and say, hey, you know, I have pride in my community and my neighborhood, and fix my house up too. So that helps us. All the ripples that go out from that new house are really, really nice.
Yeah, and you mentioned the family, the fact that one of the things we try to do, or probably the main thing we try to do, is really prepare our families for the opportunity to be a homeowner. They have to attend about 50 hours worth of educational classes. They have to do a lot of sweat equity to have the opportunity to purchase a Habitat home. Christina Day, who's going to be purchasing our home, who's been a guest on the show actually, she did 275 hours of sweat equity. She helped out a bunch on her own home. I mean, this is a person that works Monday through Friday, and then many Saturdays. I know her and her kids were coming out to volunteer on the construction of their home on Orville Street. So they've got a lot invested in the opportunity to be a homeowner, and we like to think that they're going to be really strong homeowners.
Yeah, the people that you bring into these homes here are definitely invested in the house already. They have sweat and tears into the house already, that in addition to the money that they're, you know, the purchase part of the contract there with them. So we're happy to see that type of resident come in. It's a contributing resident to our community, where before it was, like I said, it was either a blighted property or just a vacant lot. Sometimes we can get the banks to donate properties that we can pass on to you. Sometimes the city purchases those as part of our blight removal.
So talking a little bit about our upcoming projects, in May, we'll be kicking off 2 new builds in Fairborn on Dayton Yellow Springs Road there, not too far from the intersection of, for our viewers out there that might be in the area, Dayton Yellow Springs and Kaufman Avenue in Fairborn. And just so folks know, if you want to help out and volunteer on these projects and get involved and help our mission, you can get a hold of us at Habitat for Humanity. Go to our website, DaytonHabitat.org. You can sign up to volunteer right there on the website, or give us a call. We can get you signed up. But those are actually going to be a collaboration between City of Fairborn, obviously, Habitat for Humanity, and then also Wright-Patterson Air Force Base has signed on to be a part of that project as well. They're going to be an official collaborator. They're going to donate a lot of hours as far as volunteerism. We've talked about them having a minimum of 500 volunteers helping out with the project, and they also they donate to us through their combined federal campaign, and the money that we raised through the campaign, we pivoted it to support those projects as well. So Wright-Patterson Air Force Base is going to be giving us a lot of people power and volunteerism, and then also donated some monies for the projects as well. Can you talk a little bit, I mean, and you mentioned, right, Pat, being the largest employer in the state. With that sort of collaboration, you know, what does that mean to Fairborn, not only for us, but maybe just in general for the city?
Well, what it means to us is a partnership with the base. Their buy-in and participation, the men and women in uniform and the civilians out there also participate in several projects in the community. The Easter egg hunt we had out there with 10,000 eggs, and the volunteers that put those together in hours and hours and hours. We had several folks from the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base come out and volunteer and participate in that. They come out, and I know they come out really strong to help the Habitat for Humanity, but it's a community involvement, and we work to build that community involvement with the base out there and welcome those folks as part of our community.
I know we could do what we do without Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. About 1/3 of our volunteers each and every year are either employed by the base or enlisted. They're such great people, and they come out with a wonderful attitude every time they volunteer. I think they love the teamwork component of coming out and helping out on a project like building a house with Habitat for Humanity. So we're just forever grateful and couldn't be more excited to have their assistance with the work that we do. It's incredibly valuable.
You guys make it easy because you're very well organized, and when you come out, people can be productive. And when you're volunteering, that's the important part, or one of the very key parts is you can be productive and you can see your contribution to this project. And like I said, you guys do a very good job of the organization and setup and helping make that part come true.
Well, thanks. And you're right. One of the things is we only have 8 volunteers on a site per day. So we limit that number to 8. And the biggest reason you hit on it was productivity. We don't want anybody to be kind of standing around and waiting or not feel productive or not feel like they accomplished something. And when you get more than a certain number of volunteers, we like to think the number's 8. 1 can be a safety hazard, and then 2, people kind of standing around not feeling like there's enough to do. So by having 8 volunteers per site per day, it really, like I said, makes everybody feel productive and like they've really accomplished something as they leave the build site that day. One of the things that we mentioned, we have one coming up in a few weeks, but I know you've been generous in your time as far as coming to some of our dedication ceremonies prior as a member of the council, but now the one coming up, I think this might be your first official one as the mayor of Fairborn. And so any memories from those or anything you'd like to share about coming out to our dedication ceremonies?
Each one is special in its own way. I really enjoy the dedication. You see the joy and the pride and the people there. The people that's going, when the keys are handed over, that is just such a tremendous event there. And seeing the other organizations come in and for the housewarming gifts, whether it's blankets, pillows, books for the kids, bookcases, any of those sorts of things, it just puts it way over the top.
Yeah.
And it's it's tears of joy. It's a lot of emotion, but it's a happiness. The home ownership is just so important to these folks.
Yep. And just so our viewers know, the dedication ceremony is the moment when our families have then purchased the house from us. They've signed their mortgage paperwork. They've purchased the house from us for an affordable interest mortgage rate, and now they are official homeowners. And we always make a big deal out of that. And if we can, get the government officials and the mayor involved in welcoming these folks to the city as new residents. And for our families, it's a culmination of a lot of times 2-3 years of really, I'd say hard work. The volunteerism that they have to do. They have to attend a lot of classes. They have to save money for their first year of property taxes and homeowners insurance that has to be paid once they purchase the house. So it's the culmination of years of effort and focus and work. And you're right, many times tears are shed, tears of happiness, because people are so excited to finally get to that point when they can call themselves homeowners. And I think what I see from a lot of our families is they're not just happy for themselves, but they're happy for what they're able to now provide for their children. The stability of knowing this is mine. This is where we're going to be living for the foreseeable future. This is where our kids are going to go to school, or my kids are going to go to school, and just to be able to provide that for your kids is something. I know I'm a dad. I know you're a father. Just to be able to provide that for your children is something that you can take a lot of pride in.
Absolutely. It's just a joyful occasion, and I'm happy to participate in those. I always appreciate getting invited to those to welcome the new family to the neighborhood, although they may not feel they're totally new because they've been there for a while as part of the build. But it's adding a productive family to our community, and that's a win-win on both sides for us.
Moving forward, do you see Fairborn continuing to partner with Habitat?
Yes, I do. That's one of my interests as mayor, and it's one of the interests of the city, that continuing the partnership with the Habitat for Humanity is like I said, it's a win-win for both of us. You know, we can provide a lot. You guys turn in a vacant lot into a nice home for someone, and we have a nice house that instead of a blighted property or a vacant lot, and we have a productive family, a contributing family to our community.
And a taxpayer.
And a taxpayer,
That's
absolutely.
Right. Well, Paul, we really appreciate you taking the time to come out and visit with us today on the Home Show. I think this is helping to bring our viewers kind of behind the curtain a little bit of all the things that have to go into making these opportunities available for our families. And it definitely takes partnerships, and we could not be more excited about the partnership that we have with the City of Fairborn. So thank you so much. It was a pleasure to talk to you today.
Thank you, Dave. Looking forward to continuing partnership.
All right, and coming up next, we've got a small service announcement about the Restore and some of the great things happening there. And after that, we'll see you next month on the Habitat Home Show. Thanks for joining us.
Are you looking for new and gently used home items at reduced prices? Check out the Dayton Restore. Dayton Restore sells both new and gently used items to the general public 5 days a week. The Dayton Restore has a wide selection of furniture. Whether you're looking for sofas or recliners, cloth or leather, shop at Restore. Restore also carries dining room sets, appliances, sinks, cabinets, home decor, and more. The Dayton Restore is located at 115 West Riverview Avenue in Dayton, Ohio, between the Dayton Art Institute and White Island Chevrolet, and is open Tuesday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., and on Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Parking is easy in our free attached customer parking lot. Do you have items you would like to donate? You can drop off your donations at the store during our business hours. Would you like to donate large items? We will pick them up for free. Visit us online at DaytonHabitat.org or call us at 937-222-2296 to schedule your free pickup today. Don't forget to like us on Facebook to stay up to date on inventory, sales, and holiday hours. Thank you for supporting Habitat for Humanity of Greater Dayton by shopping at the Dayton Restore.